So we were having a conversation off camera that we'll have on the mic on Buckeye Talk. So you got to listen to that. I'm Steven, that's Stefan, that's Andrew. On this camera, we're going to talk about who is more important to their team's success on Saturday when Ohio State plays Texas. Texas quarterback Arch Manning or Ohio State quarterback Julian Sayin. That's the number one quarterback from the 2023 class. The number one quarterback from the 2024 class, both making their first official starts as the starting quarterback for the school. Obviously, Arch Manning has had some starts stepping in for Quinn Ewers last year, but as the number one guy, this is his first game, and this is Julian Sayin's first game as a starter. He played like 20-something snaps last year. Andrew, who is more important to their team's success on Saturday?
I think it's Arch, and the reason I think it's Arch is two different reasons. Number one, I think Julian has better weapons, and I think Arch has to, in kind of correlation to that, play better. I mean, Julian has the best receiver in college football. But then you also look down the line and you've got a Carnell Tate and you've got a Brandon Inniss. And Carnell Tate might be the number one wide receiver taken in the 2026 NFL draft and have never been the number one receiver on his own college team. Like, that would not shock anybody, I don't think. Emeka Egbuka just did it, right? Emeka Egbuka was never the number one receiver at Ohio State, and guess what? He went in the first round. So you've got that as another option. You've got Inniss. You've got who people are talking about, Max Clare being potentially the number one tight end in the 2026 NFL draft. You've got a decent running game. Like, I think we all feel pretty good about James Peoples and C.J. Donaldson. Texas, I don't mean to poo-poo their weapons. Like, Ryan Wingo is a great receiver. They do have talent. You go look at, especially like the recruiting rankings on their 5 stars and receiver and stuff like that. They've got it. They've got talent. But it's not as deep as what Ohio State has. And I think that's why, number one, Arch has kind of more pressure on him in terms of just kind of what he's going to have to do, because I think he's going to have to do more. And then the second thing, I mean, you're going in on the road. Like, Julian has the home environment. I said he's got the better weapons. Like, I think Julian, while it is his first start and while it is his first meaningful game time, he is going to have some advantages that just Arch doesn't. And that's the crowd, that's the weapons, that's playing at home. Like, I think Arch just kind of going into that environment, that's really difficult. And I think Arch is going to have to play well. Like, I think we could map out a scenario where Julian's fine and Ohio State wins. I think if Arch is fine, I'm really going to struggle to find a way that Texas wins. I think Arch has to play well for Texas to win the game, and that's why I think it's Arch Manning.
You agree with him, Stefan?
No, I actually disagree. I think there's more. I think Julian Sayin has to be the more impressive guy on Saturday, and the reason I go into that is because Julian has the weapons. I'm actually going to do the inverse, where I think Texas's attack on Ohio State's defense is going to be, hey, we've been reading a lot of reports about this defensive tackle depth not being great. What if we just keep running it at them? And I think Arch is part of that, right? I think his rushing attack is going to have to be strong. So, like, in that perspective, yeah, I think Arch, both quarterbacks are going to have to be impressive. I think Arch will have to be impressive in some extent, especially with his legs, and he will have to make some passes, to win them the game down the stretch. But I think there's more of a need for Julian Sayin to be at his best because, yeah, they got all those weapons. He's got to get it to them. Right, like he's like Will Howard wasn't throwing balls, 20 yards out of bounds, and the wide receivers were making a catch anyway. Sometimes it happened, but what does Ryan Day always say? You have to make the routine plays routinely, and for a quarterback who has not started yet, that's a lot to ask, right? Like it sounds so easy, like make the routine plays routinely, like get the ball out to quick to Jeremiah, get the ball out quick to Carnell Tate. Sure, that's fine when you have a 50-year quarterback who's played a ton of snaps in college football and Will Howard, but like. What do you do when it's your first start and you're being asked to do something you've never done before? And I think that's where the pressure is on Julian Sayin to perform. I think Ohio State, like Texas, will have an impressive rushing attack, and I think that's going to help. But Ohio State's offense runs through its receivers. We saw that in the playoff. When the Ohio State offense is at its best, Jeremiah and Carnell, last year was Jeremiah, Carnell, and Emeka Egbuka. This year it's Brandon Inniss instead of Emeka Egbuka, along with Max Clare in that passing attack. Like, the ball's got to be in the right spot for those guys to be able to make plays, on top of which we just saw Texas be the only team that kind of had somewhat of a strategy to take Jeremiah Smith out of the game. I don't think that's an option I don't think they're going into this game saying, oh, we'll let Texas do what they did last time and we'll hit it to the other receivers. They're going to try to find ways to get Jeremiah Smith the ball, which means him and Julian Sayin are going to have to be in lockstep because there's going to be options and things of that nature. And like Julian Sayin's got to be ready to go and have good communication, good energy, good synergy with Jeremiah Smith. So it sounds so easy to say when Ryan Day goes up there and says you got to make the routine plays routinely, but when you've never started a college football game before, that looks different. That's not as easy as it sounds.
I think you're not giving Texas's weapons enough credit. I get Max Clare's a very good tight end. He's not the only good tight end in this game. Texas went and got California's tight end who had 91 catches for over 1,000 yards the last 2 seasons as well. Trey Wisner is back. We saw Texas uses its running backs in the passing game a lot. In fact, that's how it scored its 2 touchdowns in the Cotton Bowl as well. Texas has the more experienced defense. I'm not going to say it's more talented. I think the talent is equal with both sides. Texas just has more guys who have played a lot more football. I think this comes down to what are the responsibilities of the quarterback in each offense. And I just think naturally Ohio State's offense puts a lot more on the quarterback's plate than Texas's does because it is a lot of quick stuff. It's a lot of misdirection, pre-snap motion, eye candy. We're going to make it look like this just to do something simple over here, right? We're talking about get the ball out of the hands quick. Well, with Julian Sayin, that could be downfield. With Arch Manning, it might just be horizontal, and we involve him in the run game as well. It just seems the way these offenses run, especially watching last year, and it won't be exactly like last year because Arch does have a bit of a running threat, but I do think the passing offense might be similar to what we've seen Steve Sarkisian do in the past, whether it's with Texas, whether it's at USC, whether it's when he was the offensive coordinator at Alabama, where we're talking about the receivers doing the work for Ohio State. I think the weapons might do a lot of the work for Arch Manning as well. But if that means that Ohio State's offense maybe caters itself to, at some point, your quarterback's going to have to make a throw, then I would put that more on Julian Sayin. I agree. We were having an off-camera debate that we'll have on Buckeye Talk about who has more pressure going into this game. They're probably right that it's Arch Manning. Is it the guy who's got the name on the back or the name on the front? That's going to be the podcast. But I do think when you're talking about more important to their team's success, the way we expect Ohio State's offense to run is the reason why Julian Sayin is the starting quarterback. And we can't back off of that now just because the games are here. We've been talking about Julian Sayin for a year and a half like he is in line with where Justin Fields, Dwayne Haskins, and C.J. Stroud were as Heisman Trophy finalist caliber, first-round draft pick caliber. Can't back off of that now. They didn't get that way by just being point guards. They got that way because eventually they became playmakers. Julian shouldn't have to do that for 60 minutes, but can you ask for 4 snaps? And that might just be more than Arch, who might only have to do it for 3. 614-350-3315. It's a 2-week free trial, $3.99 after that. And go listen to Buckeye Talk where we'll have a more spirited debate where I feel like it's going to be 2 versus 1. Because somebody's got to wave the flag for the team we cover, right? We can't all fall in love with the SEC or Miami.
They're going to make the playoff.
I hope they do for your sake. 614-350-3315. Ohio State gets Texas on Saturday. Number 1 versus number 3 in the shoe. I'm Steven. That's Stefan. That's Andrew. See you later.